A.B. Stoddard now, associate editor and columnist for RealClearPolitics A.B., good of you. Do you participate or anticipate, I should say, that this ruling will have an impact on the outcome of the midterms?
I do, Shepard. If even on the margins, this does make a difference. Eamon points out that this is likely to energize mostly younger voters who are not going to turn out. Traditionally, they don't turn out in midterms. And the base of the party is very disappointed in Biden's record because they believe that the Democrats failed to deliver with their majorities in both the House and Senate, slim and bare though they are, on voting rights and the social welfare spending Build Back Better program. And so we've been hearing from people like Senator Bernie Sanders and Senator Elizabeth Warren that the base of the party is just so dispirited. They were certainly not going to turn out in the midterms, and they had to still try to take a pass at some kind of legislation to do whatever they could to put points on the board. The inflation voter, the immigration voter, is still likely to be energized or turn out at the polls this fall. But this awakens a new set of voters who are likely to be very angry and turn out because of this issue alone.
On the other side, A.B., politically, the Republicans have used overturning Roe v. Wade as a cry for decades. Are there single-issue voters who may be less motivated to get to the polls after this?
Right. That's a very good point. On the Republican side, we've seen for decades that this issue makes single-issue activists of many Republican voters. The Democrats don't have these type of voters on their side. There are voters on the Republican side who vote solely on gun rights and the pro-life issue. Having this landmark decision in the court is obviously likely to de-energize a complacent Republican voter who's been waiting for this all along. At the same time, Republicans will be energized. Democrats have to be honest about that. They just have to bring more voters from their coalition out. Young voters turned out in remarkable numbers, actually, in 2018. They were very energized to oppose Trump. And they can be turned out probably in greater numbers on this issue. It's just going to take some work. And it's, as I said, going to mean that they don't overcome a Republican wave, but they can likely mitigate their losses. And we'll see the effects of other X factors like guns and like the January 6th hearings in the months to come before November.
For Democrats, much of the message has been go vote in the fall. But with the Supreme Court under conservative control, how much of an impact can the midterms really have when it comes to their political goals?
Well, Democrats should make very clear that Mitch McConnell said if he becomes majority leader, he is not going to help seat a Democratic appointed nominee for the court in 2024, an election year. When asked about next year, which is not an election year, he demurred, Shep. I think the Democrats have to make it clear that they are at risk of not getting a replacement should there be a vacancy next year. They also need to make it clear to their voters that state legislatures really matter here, where all of these trigger laws will be coming into place and new things will be on the ballot. The makeup of those legislatures is key to the future of fighting back for some kind of codification of Roe. So if Democratic voters are motivated, that actually does make a difference in November.
Yeah, you mentioned Mitch McConnell. It was Mitch McConnell who, made it his goal and was successful in not allowing President Obama to appoint a Supreme Court justice. This was a 5-4 ruling. Chances are, had there been an Obama appointee here, it would have been 5-4 in the other direction.
It's amazing what Mitch McConnell has done, Shepard. He was singularly determined about this, working with the Federalist Society and other activists who had planned for decades. But his actual success in making sure that the Scalia seat was not filled until it could be filled with Neil Gorsuch instead of Merrick Garland, a standoff with the Obama administration back in 2016. Then you see him seat Amy Coney Barrett after Ruth Bader Ginsburg died in just 21 days, a rush to the election. And he helped Brett Kavanaugh survive a very controversial confirmation battle that involved an FBI investigation many people thought was not legitimate. Mitch McConnell is responsible for the success of having a super conservative majority on the Supreme Court.